Happiness, excitement, wonder. The human brain craves these feelings, and for almost a century, no place has brought an overabundance of these feelings, quite like amusement parks. They're meant to provoke a sense of joy to all who visit, both young and old, juxtaposed to those feelings you get while looking at liminal spaces. Eerie, dark, nostalgic, uncanny, alone. So what do you get when you take these completely opposed emotions, throw them into a mental blender, and hit puree? You get liminal land. A carnival, based in the small town of Lake Valley, New Mexico, with one sole purpose: to dethrone Disneyland as the biggest name in the amusement park industry. With absolutely anomalous rides, spooling subterranean water parks, vast mazes, and even full underground housing for both temporary and permanent residents, Liminal Land seemed like it was here to stay. And for 14 years, it did. Created by renowned YouTube creators Nexpo and Nick Crowley, Liminal Land takes on one of the more frightening aspects of its field: the Uncanny Valley. For those unaware, the Uncanny Valley is the feeling you get when you're looking at something that is supposed to be human, but something is not quite right. Think of those faces that you see in a lot of AI pictures, where they're distorted and almost there, but not quite. Now, seeing as Liminal Land is a brand new series and ARG project, only premiering about a week ago as of writing the script, it's still in its early stages, and I'll probably end up doing another video whenever it wraps up. However, I couldn't help myself. This is the first ARG that I'm actually participating in from day one, and I'm all on board for the ride. So come along as we lose ourselves in Liminal Land. Our first stop on this rabbit hole is the Liminal Land website. We're greeted with the homepage that is anything but welcoming, with the demonic Ferris wheel from hell depicted as the home screen. Here, several pages are available to explore. Since we're already on the homepage, let's go through these one by one, shall we? Opening the Attractions tab brings us, expectedly, to a list of all the attractions that were running during Liminal Land's time. Immediately, something seems off. You might miss it at first, but look a little closer. These people seem to be, well, wrong. That's really the only word that I can think to describe this. Underneath each image, a brief description tells us what we're seeing: the Hall of Walls, Paradise Playroom, Subliminal Land, the Laugh Track, Centrifuge, Skyliner, the Chrysanthemum, Serpentine, Funhouse, and Invader Cave. All of these seem fairly normal, except for two oddballs within the group. There seems to be a few of these unknown rides, and whatever they are, they seem to have been hidden from public eye. Even more interesting, the description asks anyone who remembers these rides to fill out the form below. So I did. I vaguely remember this. I remember I went to New Mexico to visit my grandmother, and she took me to Liminal Land for my birthday. We had a lot of fun, and I think I just had too much to eat. But I specifically remember going upwards on this unknown ride and dropping my Spider-Man hat off the side of the cart. I was pretty bummed because I couldn't find it afterwards. That was my favorite hat. As of writing this script, I've yet to receive a response. It's okay though. I'm a pretty patient person. Moving onwards to the Accommodations tab brings us, well, home. More or less, anyways. Reading the description, we can see that the holistic and opportune mutual experience, or home for short, was an underground hotel of some kind, made out of the remains of a homing facility for a now defunct observations lab underneath Lake Valley. Blending 50s inspired decor with modern cues from the 1980s, Home was a marvel for its time, and due to the intrigue and raving reviews surrounding it, Charon would begin selling units in 1981, fulfilling their goal of keeping their patrons on park grounds for as long as humanly possible. Due to the allure of Home and its outward appearance of a sprawling underground suburbia, quick family vacations often turned into extended and even permanent stays. And for many, Liminal Land Park had indefinitely become home. Charon, huh? As in the ferryman from Greek mythology? Interesting. According to the website, Home was so alluring to the public that some would even become permanent residents, just up and leave their old homes and lives behind to live in this world of sprawling halls and doorways. Just looking through some of these photos, though, I can't imagine why. But hey, I'm not one to judge. Proceeding to the archive shows us several documents to read through. Now, I'm not going to go over every single one of these today, but I will do my best to touch on the most important aspects in regards to the story of Liminal Land. Beginning with Lake Valley Police Annual Report, 1987. It's here where we receive our first names tied to Liminal Land. Sheriff James Courtright, the mayor of Lake Valley, Roger O'Neill, and the last name of Jacobson. In this segment, we are told the following. Despite quick response time from our emergency responders, nothing could be done to salvage the home that was set ablaze by the June 15th fire. When arriving on scene, 2 adults engaged our team to alert them of the presence of 2 children stuck in their bedroom. The 2 were locked in for bedtime before the oven caught fire due to a forgotten cake left by their mother. The blaze, however, was too severe for the fire squad to enter. Despite best efforts, both children would perish in the flames. Fast action was made to stop the spread of the blaze, and thankfully, nearby homes were spared of any serious damage. Cleanup was completed the following day, and 1 house was repainted due to damage from the smoke. No charges were ever filed. Now, I'm not sure how important the sheriff or mayor's names will be going forward, but Jacobson is a name to keep in mind. Continuing on, we find a summer pamphlet from 1978 for Subliminal Land, an underground water theme park where naturally heated water caused by the remnants of Lake Valley's test sites and interconnecting pools allow you to navigate through the complex
without ever getting out of the pool.
Wait, Lake Valley test sites. Tests for what? Now, the fact that this pamphlet states that the pool's water are heated because of these remnant sites already raises some immediate red flags. I don't know about you, but I wouldn't trust the heat coming off of an old observation test site. However, if you're still determined to enjoy Subliminal Land, yet don't want to deal with the crowded, claustrophobic halls and slippery poolsides, I have some good news for you. As you make your way out of the hospitality sector and into the Serenity Ward below it, you'll discover that crowds become less prevalent. This is by design, and is made possible by the sheer size of floor B10 and beyond. You'll be pleased to find that the deeper you venture into Subliminal Land, the larger the floors become, allowing you to truly escape the monotony of daily life in lieu of a dead, silent, unforgettable, serene experience underground. Warning: those with autophobia may experience discomfort in the Serenity Ward. If you're prone to this, it is advised that you remain on floors B8 and above. From the beginning, Charon crafted Liminal Land with one promise to you: that you can escape reality and truly lose yourself. And with the addition of this new facility, that promise continues to live on. Yeah, no thanks. The fact that the design of Subliminal Land has this as a specific positive talking point seems especially strange. Think about it. An underground water park, promoted as a family-friendly enjoyment, that promotes areas where, if they choose, can travel deeper into the park, where unlit areas and total darkness allow the guests to be completely and utterly alone. As somebody who's been terrified of the dark their entire life, this sounds like an absolute living hell. But that's just me. Right, well, now that my personal nightmare has been addressed, let us continue. Pre-Liminal Land photos of Lake Valley. Most of this information we've already been privy to. However, the old photos of before Liminal Land are quite interesting. When I first heard of the Lake Valley observations, I assumed that the location had been an observatory prior to the construction of Liminal Land. However, reading the descriptions under these photos shows that that is not the case, and instead it is a factory producing clean energy to be used across the country, which makes me even more concerned about the quote-unquote natural heat of Subliminal Land. Scrolling further down, we can see pictures of what seems to be a team of employees donning hazmat suits as they go to their work. I'm not quite sure what this device is behind them, but if the employees are required to wear hazmat suits, I doubt it's good for you. Which brings us to our final photograph, the hub. Being the main energy sector of the Lake Valley observations, we're told that due to constant reactions happening within the hub, those who entered perish within an hour. So yeah, not good. With something as dangerous as the hub being underneath Subliminal Land, you'd think that they would have closed it off to the public and let it lie dormant. But who are we kidding? We're in Liminal Land. The hub would eventually be retrofitted into the final floor of Subliminal Land, which made it one of the most highly sought-after locations in the entire park. Wow, I feel loads better. Thanks, Subliminal Land. Now, I was debating on glossing over this next section, as at first glance it didn't really seem to pertain any relevant information that we weren't already aware of. However, after doing a bit more research and taking a second look at it, this part seems pretty pivotal to the story of Liminal Land. A Science News article, dated November 28, 1959. Within the article, it focuses on one Dr. Frank Schlittenberg and his research on cortical activity, or, more specifically, compression-induced laughter. Multiple tests were done to test his studies, and it was noted that while participants did experience brief moments of euphoria within the first phases of testing, it was not a lasting effect. It stated that participants began experiencing other side effects, including fear, anxiety, panic, and in some cases, severe damage to the diaphragm, and even complete rupture. You know, everything you want from a theme park ride. Dr. Schlittenberg, however, seemed to overlook the effects of the compression, opting to still incorporate his methods within Liminal Land, specifically for the laugh track. Which would explain why, in the next section, it stated that the laugh track was closed in 1988. Reports of reasoning behind the ride's closure seem to be uncertain. However, the official statement claims that it was due to severe mechanical issues. But you know how people are. They love to speculate. And speculate they did. Many claim that the closure of the ride was due to not mechanical issues, but rather an accident that had occurred, even including a full derailment of the ride itself. Although there is little evidence given to support this theory, I wouldn't rule it out of the realm of possibility. Which brings me to this photo. Knowing what we do about these compression laughter tests, I fear that what we're being shown here is not laughter at all, but instead immense pain. Memorandum. The Sound in C Block, April 21st, 1984. This is a letter from an employee of the Car and Corporation's maintenance team that appears to have been written to one of the higher-ups within the company.
David, I'm having trouble figuring out how to approach Dr. S about this, but this is getting seriously out of hand. We cannot keep guys on payroll for longer than a few weeks before they walk off. I'm not sure if it's pay discrepancy or what, but this is seriously beginning to affect our bottom line. Home is a fucking mess. It's become a colossal shithole ever since Dr. S decided to sell units for permanent stays. All this man cares about is money, 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 and the residents don't care. They sit in their rooms, living like shit, their trash is everywhere, and it stinks. How am I supposed to hire any decent talent if their first day on the job is cleaning up the mess the last team abandoned? We either need to shut off sections of home or figure out some way to get more people in here fast. I can't keep pulling these overnights alone, not like this. It's messing with me bad. I haven't told anyone, but 2 nights ago, I heard something down the hallway inside C Block. I'm not sure if it was because I was up for 22 hours straight, again, but it sounded so fucking real. It was akin to a child's scream. This disturbing, blood-curdling scream, followed by what I can only describe as a... I know it sounds ridiculous, but... underground? But dear God, it hasn't left my mind since. We need more guys. I'm overworked, I'm tired, and if things don't change, I'm walking off just like the others, because fuck this. Regards, Jason Franklin.
Well, that can't be good. If I didn't already have concerns about home and the entirety underground layers of Liminal land, I certainly do now. Turning home into a permanent residence seems to have created a place of filth, disgust, and an overall health hazard. And yet, for some undiscernible reason, people still flock to this place. With so many people living inside this underground complex, I can imagine just how unpleasant things would become. As you can see, 2 small sections are redacted from this letter. They seem to be the same word, given how Jason writes about his experience. Thankfully, the community over on r/liminalland on Reddit has figured out what word has been redacted, and it looks like it says, a bear. Great, just what home needs. Something that sounds like a bear, roaming around and possibly killing whatever, or whoever, let out that scream. Just another reason for me to avoid home altogether. The final pieces within the archives we'll be taking a look at today are 2 videos, both of which lead you to a Liminal Land YouTube channel, and a missing persons flyer. Let's check out the YouTube channel first, as it holds some context that we will need for later. The first video, titled LVVT Channel 5 Sign-Off 1988 Missing Persons, is exactly what it sounds like. Here, have a look.
Ladies and gentlemen, our national anthem.
9 missing people are listed within this video. And who's the first one they show us on screen? Margaret Jacobson, a member of the Jacobson family whose house had caught fire and taken the lives of 2 children. While we're on the subject of Margaret, I want to divert our attention back to the main website for just a brief moment to look at this missing persons flyer. While it's been tampered with by what seems to be fellow park attendees, we can see 2 more names on the bottom of the flyer underneath Margaret's description: Chief of Detectives Mike Hughes, and a name that appears to say Detective Wayne Roberts, who both work for the LVPD. We're told if we have any information to call the phone number listed below. So you know what that means.
You have reached the Lake Valley Police Department. If you have any information pertaining to the rising number of missing persons at Liminal Land Park, please leave your name and any applicable details, and our officers will be in touch. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Matthew. I'm calling in regards to Margaret Jacobson, one of the missing people, and I was hoping to get in touch with either Mike Hughes or Wayne Roberts in regarding her case. I actually don't live too far away from her, so I wanted to let somebody know that I spoke to her on the days before she went missing. You can give me a call back at this number if you'd like, and I hope you'll be in touch. Bye.
Going back to the YouTube channel now, we're able to watch a second video, titled Company Training Tape, Visitor Satisfaction. And oh boy, this video. Well, see for yourself.
Look at the photo. Look at the photo. Look at the photo. Look at the photo. Look at the photo.
Well, that sure was something, wasn't it? We're immediately told that this videotape is course 6 within the Liminal Land orientation, specifically set B, and right off the bat this already raises a question. What happened to the other 5 tapes? We're told that whoever is running the Liminal Land YouTube channel, presumably the LLAC we've been seeing throughout the whole video, is currently working to uncover the rest of the tapes for us. But until they do, this is all the orientation we get for now. We're taught how to spot dissatisfied customers before we're told to look at several photos and try it for ourselves. After spotting a few discomforting customers, we're interrupted by a faintly faded message. The park is AL. The park is what, tape? A lie? Now, there seems to specifically be a lot of discourse as to what this could mean. Some people believe it to say that the park is alive, and some others say that the park is AI, but personally neither of these really makes sense. There's definitely a spacing in between the final 2 letters, and although it is a bit harder to make out, I'm almost 100% certain that that last letter is definitely an L. A lie just seems to make the most sense. But that's only part of the horror in this whole video, as we can hear the screams of people behind what seems to look like a barricade of furniture located deep inside of home. We're shown 2 more dissatisfied customers before the images fade away, and all we're left with are 2 red circles on the blackened screen. As we wait for the video to resume, we get the briefest flash of text before everything seems to return to normal. It's quick, and after a couple dozen attempts to try and pause at just the right moment, I was able to catch it. We hope this tape has helped to prepare you to keep visitors here for as long as possible. Now, while we might not know why, we can assume that this is the reason why Dr. Schlittenberg opened up House as a permanent homing location for visitors. I mean, why leave Liminal Land when your entire life, from your food to your friends to your living spaces, are all right there? The last thing I want to mention about this tape is the passcode given to us in order to initiate Course 7. The word right. By the time I had gotten this far, most of the community within the Liminal Land Discord had already figured out exactly what to do with this passcode. However, I had yet to find and join the Discord community server, so I was on my own. For now, though, keep this passcode in mind. Now, while there are several more pieces of promotional material, attraction images, and some odd photos within the archives of the Liminal Land website, I'm going to move on and talk about the rest of the site. However, I highly encourage you to check out the site for yourself. It's clear that a lot of passion went into this project, and I would be doing it a great disservice just by reading everything to you, when you could experience it firsthand. Link is in the description down below. Hey, it's Editor Astro here. Just quick aside, I wanted to update this just a little bit. A couple days ago, as of recording this section right here, they introduced a new pamphlet for the Hall of Walls. All you need to know about that right now is that there are 7 exits, depending on where you enter into the Hall of Walls, which will come into play momentarily, but we're getting to that. So I just wanted to update this real quick. Remember at the top of the video when I mentioned that Liminal Land really hammers home that uncanny valley feeling? This is what I meant. Blurred, distorted faces can be seen all over these photographs, and this family photo in particular is making me feel dissatisfied, to use their terminology. It's here where we get our best looks at everything we've been hearing about so far. Sprawling water slides, abstract roller coasters, and some other rides, all seeming to be surrounded by a foggy atmosphere. However, it's not just the attractions that are in this photo gallery. A couple more promotional photos also appear, with the phrases, "fading memories to a place I'll never forget," and "longing for a place I never knew," written across the posters. I have a feeling that these correspond with each other, but at the moment that's just speculation. When we attempt to access the park's closure tab, we're met with a password-protected guest area. Initially, my first thought was to try the passcode we were given during the training video. However, this was not correct. I was stumped. This was the only passcode I had come across. I went back, double-checking and triple-checking every page and every link from attractions all the way up to the park's closure tab, and nothing. Until I had a question come to my mind. Why was the word right spelt that way? Surely it was intentional, but the only way I had ever seen it spelt that way in my life was on the sign of my local Rite Aid drugstore. So off to Google I went. Well, what do you know? Rite of passage, huh? Let's give it a go. Oh. Hey there, pal. Didn't see you there. Reading the top of the image, we can see that there's something written above the deity in German. It reads, "The idol Moloch with 7 chapels." Shout out to my German teacher, Mr. Regan. Editor Astro jumping back in here one more time to kind of make the connection between my last editor's note and what we're talking about now. In case you didn't pick up on it, the 7 entrances of the Hall of Walls that we were told about in the pamphlet that came out while I was editing this are the equivalent of the 7 entrances and 7 chapels that are associated with Moloch, so we can make that connection right there. Doing some research on Moloch, we can see that it's a Canaanite deity associated with child sacrifice. Now that I think about it, there sure do seem to be quite a few missing children from Liminal Land. Well, there is another tab. I've already covered just about all the information that it holds throughout the video. So let's go ahead, recap everything we've got, and see what we have so far. So, after all of that, what the hell is going on? Well, I've got my own theory that may answer some questions that we've been asking throughout this whole video. I may or may not be right, but as of what we have, this seems to make the most sense to me. Liminal Land was a grand amusement park that made its debut in 1975, and claims that they outsold even the likes of Disney when it came to the theme park scene. It sprawled thousands of square feet, including insane attractions, a roller coaster that used compression-induced laughter as its big gimmick, a subterranean water park, and a hotel known as Home that was soon turned into a living quarters for permanent residents. However, in May of 1989, Liminal Land shut its doors without any sort of rhyme or reason. During its lifetime, many of the visitors of Liminal Land went missing, and to the best of our knowledge, none have ever been found. While we have 9 names to go off of from the missing persons video, one missing person seems to constantly be repeated throughout the entire site: Margaret Jacobson. From the missing persons video, to the vandalized flyer, to the police report of the Jacobson house fire, Margaret seems to be a constant throughout Liminal Land's history. The same can be said for Dr. Schlittenberg, the same man who not only researched the compression-induced laughter for the laugh track, but also opened up Home to permanent occupants, as stated by Jason in his letter to David. We see in the employee training tape that park employees were tasked to keep visitors at the park for as long as humanly possible, but we're unsure why and to what purpose. When we search the passcode we were given by the employee training tape, it gives us the message Rite of Passage, which just so happens to work in the password key and leads to the picture of Moloch with the phrase, "The idol of Moloch with 7 chapels." Now, I don't think it's too far of a stretch to make the connection between Schlittenberg, a very German name, to the writing above Moloch, leading me to suspect that between this, opening the home to the public, and slipping the message of keeping visitors for as long as possible into the employee training tape, Dr. Frank Schlittenberg might just be our guy. But what about Liminal Land itself? I mentioned before how I found it interesting that Charon Corporation was named after the ferryman from Greek mythology who was known for guiding souls to the underworld. I've also found it quite strange how both Liminal Land and Subliminal Land have been using specific words within their marketing pamphlets and posters. Words like maze and interconnected water slides began to stick out, and if we stick with the Greek mythology motif, the most likely answer would be a labyrinth. And you know who lives at the center of the labyrinth? The Minotaur. one of Greek mythology's most famous monsters, a hybrid with the stature of a man and the head of a bull that relies on consuming humans for sustenance and lives at the center of a labyrinth. Now, where have we seen one of those before? Would you look at that? A deity with the head of a bull that specializes in the sacrifice of children. I believe that Charon Corporation, much like their namesake, leads its visitors into Liminal Land, a place where the underworld truly does exist in the form of subliminal land, a winding labyrinth of interconnected pools and slides that all lead to its center, or, in this case, the very bottom, known as the hub, where the deity known as Moloch, who can only be described as a minotaur, resides and awaits the sacrifice of park-goers for sustenance, where the underworld of home is a place used for storing the next victims of Moloch until their time comes, and where employees are encouraged to try and keep visitors from leaving, even convincing some to stay as permanent residents until it is their turn to be fed to the beast. Now, I just want to state that while all this makes complete sense to me, absolutely none of this is confirmed to be the case, and that the mysteries of Liminal Land are still very much just that, mysteries. If I have any plot holes within my theory, or if you have your own theory that probably makes way more sense than mine does, please let me know down in the comments. While being disturbingly uncanny, and incorporating my own personal nightmares into an already horrific lore, Liminal Land is a fascinating premise for an ARG series, and I am insanely happy to be participating in this. Nexpo and Nick Crowley have really outdone themselves with this project, and I, for one, cannot wait to see where this crazy, nightmare-induced fever dream takes us next. Wow, that was a long process, but I had a ton of fun putting this video together. Shout out to my friend Dakota for reading the Charon letter. I really want to do more analysis videos like this on maybe some ARGs or some horror web series, or even just do some like Reddit cases that I find super interesting, maybe read those to you guys and talk about those for a bit. This has been a lot of fun, and I'm kind of excited to see where this goes. But until next time, my name is Astronaut, and I'll see you around.